Good evening, good evening, good evening, South Africa. Good evening to everyone watching this video and those who will be watching this video on our YouTube channel, Dr. TJ Mohale there. The link for the video for YouTube will be available tomorrow morning after the recording of this video. We are now live on Facebook, and for tonight we will be talking about personal protection equipment. My name is still Dr. TJ Mohale, coming to you live from Muleji. The issue of PPE is a bit complex, and at the moment it has gotten to a point whereby it's going to court. So to help understand why healthcare workers, frontline workers in the fight against COVID-19 have to go to court for personal protection equipment, we need to understand the laws governing occupational health and safety. So to understand that better, we will be joined here by my legal friend, Mr Kapa, joining us from Cape Town. He's joining us on this video feed. So let's just start. So let's start where we always start. We always start here. We always start here every time we start our conversation. This is the Johns Hopkins University in Medicine Coronavirus Resource Center. So at the moment, this is an interactive page. So this is the coronavirus COVID-19 global cases by the Center for Systems Science and Engineering, the CSSE at Johns Hopkins. So as you can see on this side, total confirmed case globally, 1,324,907. So yeah, last time we did a video, we said we have just crossed the 1 million mark. We are fast approaching the 1.5 million mark very fast. The United States is leading with 352,546 cases. So yeah, the total recovered worldwide is 275,832. So a lot of people are recovering from the virus. But right next to the recoveries, you can see the total deaths worldwide, 73,703. So COVID-19 has claimed a lot of lives. The number is fast approaching 100,000 worldwide. And Italy still leads the way with a lot of deaths in Italy due to COVID-19. 16,523. That's a lot of deaths. May they all rest in peace, and may we all work towards finding a solution so that this number doesn't increase any further. 73,703. The world is never prepared to bury that number of people at the same time. So this virus is running rampage. So yeah, that's where we always start every time. So let's look at this. So here you are looking at a picture of the ranch. This is the ranch hotel outside of Polokwane. So this is where the repatriated citizens of South Africa from China were quarantined for 14 days to 21 days. So they were quarantined at this hotel. Just wanted to show this image. You can see these workers healthcare workers, as you can see clearly, they are dressed in full gear. This is what we call personal protective equipments. You can see the goggles they are wearing. You can see they are wearing what we call the N95 mask. This is basically the best mask we have currently. You can see here they are wearing gloves, and you can see they are dressed in these white gowns from top to bottom. So this is PPE, personal protective equipments. So as you can see, here is the N95 mask. Here is a visor for the face. Here is goggles for the eyes. Here is gloves for the hands. Here is a body suit. And here you have boots. So this is designed to protect frontline workers. PPE in general has many applications. It's not only limited to healthcare workers. You find PPE in the laboratory, the people who we rely on to test the samples that we send to them as healthcare workers. So the laboratory, you have pharmaceutical and you have industrial. So that is why today in other countries, you can see construction companies, since they are no longer using construction companies at any given time, they have these equipments in their storage called personal protective equipment. And right now in some countries, they are donating it to the healthcare sector, because right now no one needs the personal protection equipment than the healthcare workers who are in the hospitals, where everyone who has a cough is coming and asking to be tested for COVID-19. You haven't seen our soldiers on the street and our police. You have seen them with wearing a mask and gloves. So they don't have to wear these suits, but that is debatable. So the reason we have a lawyer with us tonight here is because Advocate Kapa here, we want to understand, is it compulsory, Mr. Kapa, is it compulsory for companies to provide their workers with protection in general? Let's just start there. Does the law compel employers to make sure their workers are safe? Please explain to us.
Thanks. Am I coming through? I don't know. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you clearly, and I hope everyone watching can hear you clearly. I think the volume is up here, so I hope your volume is also up that side, so we can understand each other, and the viewers can also understand you.
Okay, thanks. Good question. So the short answer is employers are obliged to ensure the safety of workers. And what I want to do is I want to take you through some various legal provisions. Some of them are new because COVID-19 is new. Some of them are old because our law has been protecting workers since forever. So let me start with one of the most recent ones is the guidelines from the World Health Organization. So as you know, the World Health Organization is it's an agency of the United Nations that is responsible for public health internationally. And when the outbreak of COVID-19 happened, the United States, in addition to declaring it a global pandemic, they also released some guidelines as to how should this disease be handled, and some of those include some labor regulations and some of the things that they said in relation to specifically to employers and managers in health facilities and organizations towards their employees. They said they provided the following. They said that the managers and employers must assume overall responsibility to ensure that all the necessary preventative and protective measures are taken to minimize occupational safety and health risks. So that means managers and employers must take all the necessary precautions to ensure that nothing happens to the employees, so the nurses, the doctors, and everyone else working in the hospital. They must provide information, instruction, and training on occupational safety and health. So that means people must be trained on, specifically in relation to COVID-19, on how do they prevent infection, how do they control it, and all those things. And they also make specific recommendations in relation to the provision of adequate IPC and PPE supplies. And in terms of PPE, they specifically mention that masks, gloves, goggles, gowns, hand sanitizer, soap and water and cleaning supplies must be supplied in sufficiency. So that means these must be sufficient at all facilities where these workers are working. And then they also make very specific provisions around that. Healthcare workers may not be required to return to a work situation where there is a continuing or serious danger to their life or health until the employer has taken the necessary remedial action. So until the employer has ensured that the work environment is safety, the appropriate PPE is provided. What the World Health Organization provides in their guidelines is that workers may not be forced to go and work in those conditions. And it also makes an explicit allowance for workers to remove themselves from a work situation where they have a reasonable justification to believe that it presents an imminent serious danger to their life or health. So that means employees or workers of healthcare workers who feel that the situation that they're working in, so the hospital that you're working in, if you feel that you are not sufficiently protected, you are allowed by these guidelines to withdraw yourself from the workplace, so to refuse to work basically. And South Africa is a member state of the World Health Organization, and therefore they are forced to adhere to the recommendations made by this international organization. So we are effectively bound by the recommendations that I just read out. And then I don't know if people want to engage a bit more on these specific guidelines, because now I want to move on to the guidelines that they were released specifically by the South African government in relation to COVID-19.
We will come to the questions. I think you can go ahead, and you have dealt with the WHO guidelines, and you have already answered the question that these are binding. So let's go ahead and read them with the guidelines that have been released by the South African government, because I think the new guidelines that they released to some extent would have been informed by those of the WHO. So we will ask the questions in combination after you have dealt with the local ones and the local legislations pertaining to this issue. So you can continue.
So what then followed after the World Health Organization guidelines is that the Department of Labor published specific guidelines that are taken from the World Health Organization's guidelines to ensure that South Africa is prepared and that workers are protected during the COVID-19 response period. So I'm not going to deal with all the guidelines. I've provided Dr. Mohale with the links to these guidelines, so he can provide the links when he is setting up the videos. I'm just going to deal with one specific clause of these guidelines, and then that's clause 4.4 of the Department of Labor guidelines on COVID-19. It provides that employers are obliged to provide their workers with PPE that is needed to keep them safe while performing their duties. It says the types of PPE required during the COVID-19 provides that workers, including those who work within 2 meters of patients known to be or suspected of being infected with COVID-19, or those performing aerosol generating procedures, need to use respirators. So they have listed some respirators here, and then they said an approved N95 filtering half-face respirator as a minimum used in the context of a comprehensive written respiratory protection program that includes testing and training and medical exams. So I think this is the N95 that Dr. was talking about earlier. And then it also provides, speaks of other respirators. So these are other medical equipment. I think that also speaks to masks to ensure that doctors are protected so that they do not ingest COVID-19 droplets. So this is a specific recommendation from the South African regulations. It provides specifically for masks to be provided to healthcare workers, and then the regulations goes on to speak about other PPE that must be provided to healthcare workers. And then for legislation, for old legislations, so laws that have existed prior to COVID-19 that deal with the safety of workers in their workplace. In South Africa, we have the Occupational Health and Safety Act of 1993. And this piece of legislation, its main purpose is to ensure the safety of people at work. And Section 8 of the Act, it provides that it is the employer's duty to take all reasonable steps to prevent and or mitigate risk to the employees. So these steps include the explicit provision of PPE equipment to employees when necessary. And it also, there's Section 8 as well, at subsection F, it also provides that employers may not expose themselves to dangerous working conditions. So if, according to the Occupational Health and Safety Act, if a worker feels the work environment is not safe, they will be exposed to harm, they may not attend to that work. So basically, also it's another reiteration of what the World Health Organization said in terms of refusing to work. And then I've included also a bit about, so the Occupational Health and Safety Act has another act that works with it. It's called Compensation for Occupational Injuries and Diseases Act. It's called COIDA. And it provides for workers who have been injured or harmed while performing their duties. They can claim for compensation for those things. So if government or if an employer is failing to provide for the health and safety of workers at work, they're exposing themselves to lawsuits around compensation. So if nurses and doctors are going to get infected, if nurses and doctors are going to lose life, if nurses and doctors are going to somehow be harmed during this COVID-19 response, what could then happen post-COVID-19 is that there will be a lot of lawsuits against the government for compensation against all that harm, hence when government failed to provide the appropriate PPE. And then as an environmental lawyer, I could not resist to include some of the legislation that we use in environmental management. So, for example, the National Environmental Management Act at Section 29, it explicitly provides that workers. So it provides for protection for workers who refuse to do work that is environmentally hazardous. So it reads as follows. It says that notwithstanding the provisions of any other law, no person is civilly or criminally or may be dismissed, disciplined, prejudiced or harassed on account of having refused to perform any work if the person in good faith and reasonably believed that at the time of the refusal, the performance of the work would result in an imminent and serious threat to the environment. And the Act defines hazard as a source of exposure or danger. And in this context, we can argue that COVID-19 is such a hazard, and it's a hazard not only to the person being the worker, but then it is also a hazard to the environment in terms of the people that the person might come in contact with after being infected. And then lastly, I'll speak about the Constitution. So as you know, the Constitution is the supreme law. So it is the first law of the country. And in Section 2, it reads that any law or conduct that is inconsistent with the Constitution is invalid. And Section 24 provides that everyone has a right to an environment that is not harmful to their health or well-being. And Section 11 provides everyone has the right to life now. The question that we need to ask ourselves is allowing workers to go to work in hazardous conditions, in conditions that could potentially risk their health and well-being, potentially risk their life, consistent with the Constitution. And from the reading of this, it is quite clear that proceeding to do so would be unconstitutional. And therefore, when Dr. Mohale contacted me, he was contacting me in the context of the Nihao case, which I believe is being heard tomorrow. So I think on the basis of all these provisions, the prospects of success are good. And I think there needs to be a very clear and intentional intervention from government to provide healthcare workers with appropriate PPE. And looking at the Nehao case specifically, is that what Nehao is asking for, the relief that they're asking for, is one, to have a meaningful engagement with both the ministers of labor and ministers of health to ensure that they're mitigating risk. So the approach that I think has been taken in this case is to understand that we are in a global crisis, and in the midst of this global crisis, it happens that this PPE that is required is not easy to come by, but at the same time it needs to be provided. So it's not their first prayer in the case is not the withdrawal of healthcare workers, because that healthcare was pretty much needed, but then is to find a middle ground to ensure that healthcare workers are safe. And that is why I feel the prospects of success are good in that respect. I don't know if I managed to cover everything. I thank Tabel for inviting me on the platform. I'm happy to continue in these discussions. I think this is a time where our country needs the best, all of us, to bring the best of us to ensure that we come out of this situation safe. Thanks.
No, thank you very much. I have questions, but I think we will need part 2. We will need part 2 tomorrow afternoon or evening, as soon as the case is heard. I believe the case is being heard in the morning, 9 a.m. Central African time, Labour Court, Bramfontein, Johannesburg. So I think we will leave most of the questions, because I have asked our viewers here to ask questions, but the questions that are not being asked are not necessarily relevant to this legal discussion that we're having. For me, it's very sad. As a healthcare worker in the front line, it's very sad that we need to go to court to address this issue. to address this issue, because as you say, these are very straightforward. The Department of Labor agrees with what the what the WHO is saying. The Occupational Health and Safety Act is very clear, and the fact that NEHAU is not explaining to their members that actually you can just stay at home. We all want a middle ground, because if NEHAU didn't want a middle ground, they will just read these things to their members and say, look, if you don't have PPE, don't work. But we all understand that we are in this war together. And since everyone is calling COVID-19 a war, I keep on saying, have you seen soldiers going to war without guns or without uniform? And that is no. I haven't seen any soldiers not wearing uniform. And remember, as I said, we are not just talking about the healthcare workers in the hospital. If you are watching the news like I am, you will realize that in the state of New York, a lot of first responders, a lot of police, a lot of traffic officers, delivery people, these are people who are keeping the peace, you see. So if last week when I checked the statistics, more than 800 police in New York were infected with COVID-19. So if you, I don't know, I'm very happy you are isolating and you are not traveling, my friend, because when you travel on the road, the police, you understand that there are these things called permits, right? That they've issued to, for example, I have a permit. If I have to go and get essentials, I can show it to the police or the military on the road. You see, the police are checking each and every one of our permits, and you have to ask yourself, they are wearing gloves and they're checking everyone's permit with the same gloves. So we are all at risk, which is why we are all interested in a middle ground. You said a very important point there that will have to be dealt with by the court. These PPEs are not easy to come by. I've always said I feel like there will be a commission in the near future when this is all over, a commission on COVID response to see how each country responded. If you watch the news as well, just to add on these things not coming by, you are aware of a company called 3M. They are one of the world's largest producers of N95 masks. They are an American company, but they have offices all over the world. Apparently, the United States redirected 200,000 masks, which were destined for Germany, and they sent them to the United States. Just yesterday or the day before, President Donald Trump and President Justin Trudeau of Canada, they were in disagreements because the President of the United States is now ordering these companies, which are American, not to export these things to Canada and other countries. So can you imagine if China tomorrow woke up and said, we are no longer exporting ventilators to the United States? Remember when we are saying we all want to buy ventilators? I did some calculations last week when the Minister of Health in Gauteng said he wants 1,500 ventilators, and I said at the current rate, dollar-rand exchange, that will cost around 700 million rands. So we don't want another trade war. So just one last question. Can the president, is there legislation where we can ask companies to quadruple their production of this? Because honestly, the government doesn't produce these things, my friend. The government doesn't have a company that produces masks for them. South Africa, in fact, I think I stand to be corrected, but the continent of Africa does not produce ventilators. We need to buy them from China. And China is, the economy is opening up in China. The industry is reopening. So, these things must come from elsewhere. So we don't want a trade war whereby countries are fighting over masks and bringing nuclear submarines to fight over masks. So I hope we can really have a middle ground on this issue. Any last comment, my friend? We will deal with the Nehau issue after the court. Let's not speak too much about what the court may or may not do. This sounds straightforward, but let's leave it to the labor court. Just any comment in general.
No, I think I strongly agree with you because the rights of the constitutional rights that I've highlighted, the right to life, the right to an environment that is not harmful to health or well-being, and many other rights of healthcare workers in general, because you also need to feel safe. So the right to your security of a person and things like that, they are impacted, and these are not some things that can be easily bypassed. There are some things in the constitution. Sometimes they say there's a limitation clause, and rights can be limited in certain instances. And state of disaster or state of emergency, the current situation, it's some of those situations where we see rights being limited, like now our freedom of movement is limited, but the right to life and the right to an environment that is not harmful to health or well-being is, unfortunately, those are not those rights that can be easily limited. So that is why I say a middle ground needs to be found in this issue. I think those are my thoughts. There is no getting around this. There is no way we can force people to go to work in dangerous conditions.
Okay. The right to life cannot be, what do you say that word, deregulated or something like that. You cannot run away from the right to life. Okay, my friend, let's pick it up from where we are living now. Tomorrow, let's hope the court agrees that the right to health and safety is non-negotiable. Thank you. We will talk tomorrow.
Sure.
Bye-bye.
No.
So, yes, thank you for watching. That is Advocate Kapa joining me from Cape Town via a live call. We engaged on the issues surrounding personal protection equipment. He touched on the WHO guidelines. Most importantly, South Africa is a member state, so those guidelines apply to us. He spoke about the labor regulations and training information, PPEs as we discussed, masks, gloves, goggles, cleaning solutions, sanitizers. So we don't want to get to a situation whereby we say we are not going to work. So let's hope we can find a middle ground. There is a question by Dakalo. He's saying, given how things are going, do I recommend extending the lockdown? So there is a mathematical model that has come out of India in recent days that shows that a 21-day lockdown is ineffective. So it's a lot of mathematics, everyone. I'm not a mathematician, just like I'm not a lawyer. So I asked a lawyer to discuss these legal matters. So what I've done, I have looked for the article, the original a scientific article from India, not just the summary. I have reached out to mathematicians. So I'm waiting for them to respond. I don't understand the mathematical models that were used. So this for me is a validatory process. Hopefully we can be able to have a mathematician join us on via one of these video calls, and we can discuss the lockdown extension. So I'm working on that. The second one I'm working on is called the proximal origins of COVID-19. I have previously stated that COVID-19 is a novel virus, it's a new virus, but it didn't just appear from thin air, and we need to look at the latest research that is being done. So I'm in the process of reaching out to somebody who understands these things from microbiology and genetics point of view, so that we can discuss the proximal origins of COVID-19 and dispel some of these conspiracy theories making the rounds. So that is in the pipelines. But for tomorrow we will speak to our legal colleague here to understand. I hope the court has a ruling, an urgent ruling on the matter. But I think the case will be heard tomorrow at 9. So we will continue answering more questions as we go along, because this is a fluid situation and the situation is changing on a daily basis. So continue posting those questions. This video will be available on YouTube tomorrow morning. Thank you and good night, and continue washing your hands. Continue staying at home. It definitely saves lives. Staying at home saves lives. Protect the environment. Protect healthcare workers. Protect frontline workers. Protect all essential workers by staying at home. If you are working from home, please continue working from home. Your work is appreciated. It's not every day that you need to go to the shop to buy essential things. The ministers have reassured us that South Africa is a net food exporter. So there is no need to go to the store every day to stock up on food. South Africa is a net food exporter, so we don't anticipate running out of food. They have made some loans available for farmers. I hope that is true. I hope that is being fast-tracked so that our farmers can keep us fed. So even if there is not enough food, let's try and share the little we have. You cannot eat alone. So good night. Continue enjoying the lockdown. We will talk tomorrow.